You don't always see it when it starts. It doesn't kick down the door. It drips, quietly, like a leak behind the walls of a house you've been living in too long. You were fine, until you weren't. Until you cancelled plans you were looking forward to. Until you pushed someone away who only wanted to love you. Until you stayed up late knowing it would ruin the next day. You call it burnout, mood swings, self-sabotage. But underneath the language is something simpler and far more terrifying. You don't break things because you hate yourself. You break things because on some level you believe peace is not safe. That joy is borrowed. That love is bait. That ease is a setup. So you get there, and you leave. You reach softness, and you tense. You touch something real, and you destroy it. Not because you're broken, but because you're still waiting for someone to punish you for feeling good. It started long before you knew the word destruction. Back when your body still remembered what safety felt like. Before your voice changed to match the tone of who was in the room. Before your joy was called annoying. Before your sadness was labeled too much. Back then, you felt things fully, until someone made you feel wrong for it. And so, you began to edit yourself. But not gently, violently, daily. Until you couldn't tell if the person looking back at you was someone you'd built or someone you'd buried. You were taught survival, but called it love. You were taught silence, but called it maturity. You were taught obedience, and dressed it up as strength. And every time something good arrived, your nervous system whispered, "This is a mistake. This won't last. This is not for you." So you did what you learned. You left before you could be left. You burned bridges to prove they were flammable. You made your world smaller because safety had always looked like loneliness. It's not sabotage. It's memorized pain. Your brain can reason, but your body, it doesn't forget the flood. It remembers the moment you laughed too loud and were told to calm down. The moment you cried too long and they walked away. The moment you said what you needed and the room got colder. So now, you brace. You flinch at kindness. You question warmth. You doubt rest. Not because you're broken, but because your body has learned that calm is always followed by the storm. And when the storm doesn't come, you bring it. You create it. You light the fuse and tell yourself, "I knew this wouldn't last." But the fire wasn't waiting. You were. You were waiting to prove to yourself that you're still that kid in the hallway. Still that girl who was called dramatic. Still that boy who was only loved when he succeeded. So you perform. You perfect. You punish yourself for breathing too freely. Because somewhere inside, you still believe freedom is dangerous. You think you're just tired. But it's more than that. You're carrying decades of self-denial. You're holding guilt that isn't yours. You're avoiding mirrors because you're scared you won't recognize who you really are when you stop performing. You self-destruct because it gives you a sense of control. A predictable collapse is safer than a surprise disappointment. So you cut things off before they can grow. You leave places before they invite you to stay. You hurt yourself just to remind yourself that no one else gets to first. And here's the cruel part. They tell you to just stop sabotaging, as if it's a choice, as if they've ever had to earn joy like a starving child begging for scraps. They don't know what it's like to reach for something that feels good, and hear your inner voice whisper, "You're not ready for this. You don't deserve this. Don't get used to it." So you cut the wire. You end the softness. You create pain, because pain is the only place you've ever felt prepared. It's not drama, it's preparation. You're not self-destructive. You're trying to survive a world that punished you for hope. You don't have to stay in this war, not with yourself, not with the memories, not with the ghosts who made you believe that safety was a myth. You can stop running, not all at once, but in pieces, slowly, softly. You can learn that love doesn't have to feel like a performance. That rest isn't earned through exhaustion. That peace is not borrowed. It's built. You can remind your body that stillness isn't a trap, that joy isn't bait, that you don't have to destroy something just to prove you're strong enough to survive it. Because you're not here to survive anymore. You're here to live, to create, to love without conditions, to build a life that doesn't require sacrifice as proof of worth. You'll still have moments where you flinch, where you push away what's good before it stays too long, where you expect the ending before the sentence is finished. That's okay. Healing isn't perfect, but it's real. And it's happening. Right here, right now. With every breath you take that doesn't feel like punishment. You don't have to sabotage anymore. You get to stay. You get to grow. You get to receive. Without apology. Without tension. Without waiting for the sky to fall. This is your homecoming. No explosions. No performance. Just the quiet miracle of being allowed to exist as you are. Without breaking anything to feel safe.